Two sisters, Abby and Beth, shared a peaceful moment together. Beth cut some flowers, explaining they were dying, but Abby suggested there might still be a way to save them. Their mother had passed away, and since then, Beth had become the center of Abby's life. Things felt steady until Beth was diagnosed with terminal cancer. The news crushed Abby, but she refused to lose hope. She searched for options and found that a private clinic might help her sister, but the cost was more than she could afford. Abby realized she needed money fast, so she took a job as a geologist along the cold border between Europe and Russia, even though her father refused.
This is the only way we can pay for the clinic, Dad. We've gone over this.
The task was to search for uranium in the mountains. The work carried great risks, even the chance of death, but the salary was high enough that she agreed. Abby committed herself fully, though her team failed to find uranium.
Nothing.
She suggested going further into the mountain and into the forest, but her colleague refused, saying it was unsafe and warning her that they were near the Russian border. She was worried that the company had not given her any advance payment to start treatment. Knowing she needed results to secure money, she chose to venture deeper alone. Her partner reminded her of the dangers of the forest and said he would not join her, so she borrowed his gun and went by herself.
Just go wait in the car. I'll be fine. Just give me the gun.
After a long walk, she heard strange sounds and raised her weapon. The noise came from a black rock lying below. Curious, she picked it up and was surprised to find it unlike anything she had ever seen. Thinking it's extremely valuable, she returned to her base with it, keeping the discovery secret from the company.
Body temperature.
Abby thought the unusual rock could be sold to pay for Beth's treatment. While considering this, she got a call from her father saying Beth's condition had worsened. Abby told him about her finding and how it could help her sister. He said her sister was in so much pain and was going to be sedated. The call was cut off by a sudden power failure. Abby decided to return home right away. She asked her colleague to drive her to the station.
Sergey, I need to go home. Right now.
On their way, she told him she might never come back, saying her father did not like what she was doing. She boarded a helicopter to leave the remote area, and the pilot told her about Ossetia, the land they were flying above. He said his family lived there before the Russians occupied it. He flew close to the border, blasting music to remind them the land belonged to his ancestors. During the flight, she noticed something strange outside the window. At first, she thought it was a bird, but before she could make sense of it, the helicopter collided with it and crashed. Abby lost consciousness. In a distant memory, Abby was leaving for her new job. Her father asked her not to go, but Abby refused. She reassured him by saying she would be back soon, and this would help her sister. Then she left.
Just don't do anything rash without me, okay?
When she opened her eyes, one of the pilots was dead and the other badly injured. She tried to help the survivor with first aid, and he told her to search for a working radio.
Use this for pressure. For pressure. Oh, God.
The helicopter's communication system was broken, leaving her with no way to call for help. She went out and screamed, but no one was there. Realizing she needed to act quickly, she studied a map and compass and saw that the closest road was about 60 kilometers away, a nearly impossible distance in those conditions.
It looks like the closest road is 60K south.
That night, she built a fire to draw attention and did her best to shield the injured pilot from the cold. No one noticed the fire and no rescue came. Despite her efforts, the next morning she saw he had not survived. Terrified by what she faced, Abby realized she could not wait any longer. She gathered food, a gun, and a map from the wreckage and set out alone. Just as she was leaving, she heard a signal from the walkie-talkie and ran back to it. The device's signal was weak because of the low battery, but she managed to recharge it with the helicopter's battery. Soon after, she heard the voice of a man on the other end.
You're English? Please tell me you're real.
The man said his plane had also crashed nearby. He described a lake and forest near his site and admitted his condition was critical, with severe injuries and a badly damaged leg. His radio was also broken, leaving him unable to call for rescue. The one advantage he had was a better antenna and a radio that could be fixed, but his legs were trapped by the wreck, making it impossible for him to repair it. The man told her his name was John.
What's your name?
John.
When Abby studied the map, she saw that John's crash site was about 30 kilometers away, while the nearest road was twice that distance. Choosing speed over safety, she decided to go toward John. He warned her over the radio that the path was too dangerous and that his equipment might not even work. Abby hesitated but knew she could not take the longer route if she wanted to reach her sister in time.
Coming north is no man's land, and he could even cross into occupied territory.
As she walked, they kept talking through the radio. Abby mentioned her background as a geologist, which made John assume she was there searching for uranium. His comment unsettled her since she had not shared that detail.
So what is a nice English girl like you doing all the way out here? Are you looking for uranium?
Abby told him she needed the money for her sister and explained her sister's condition. She told him how everyone had given up on her sister and that she was the only one still fighting. On her way, she found a huge waterfall blocking her path and forcing her to change routes.
I'm gonna have to find another way around.
Later that night, Abby built a small shelter. Before resting, she took out the strange black stone from her bag. To her surprise, the rock shifted in her hands, changing its form as she pressed it. She kept turning it over, puzzled at how it could move that way. She told John she assumed he was an American Air Force pilot. When she asked what he was doing before the crash, he brushed it off.
What were you doing before the crash? Reconnaissance.
In the morning, she continued her journey across the snowy land. John tried to keep speaking to her on the radio, but she stopped him, worried that too much talk would drain the battery. She turned her focus back to the path ahead. Soon, she reached a steep hill that looked nearly impossible to climb. Doubt weighed on her, and she admitted the struggle to John. He told her she could not save everyone, and that she needed to accept limits. Abby grew upset at his words and demanded encouragement instead of warnings.
I need you to tell me that I will pull through this.
Determined, she began climbing. Progress was slow and hard, and when she could not find a grip, she used scissors to dig into the surface and hold on. Halfway up, the scissors broke, leaving her hanging in an even harder and more dangerous spot. Abby remembered the strange stone she carried. She had seen it shift before, so she shaped it into a knife and used it to climb. The stone made the climb easier, helping her anchor herself as she pushed upward until she reached the top. At the top, she saw the same dust that caused their crash floating. She spotted some antennas nearby. She drew a big arrow pointing to the antennas, lit a fire so people flying by could see it, and headed toward the houses. John's voice came through the radio, warning her she was near the Russian border. He said soldiers would not hesitate to shoot if she crossed. Fear gripped her, and she almost turned back. Before she could retreat, she slipped and fell down the slope. The fall left her with a badly injured leg. She quickly wrapped it with a bandage and forced herself to go on. As night came, she found what looked like a small settlement. Hoping for safety, she went inside but found it empty. Exhausted and hungry, she stayed there overnight. The food she found was spoiled. She tried to eat it but couldn't, so she relied on an injection to regain some strength before resting. In a memory, Beth asked Abby to take her out of the hospital and stay with her through her last days, accepting she was going to die. Abby, however, refused, saying they would do all the things Beth wanted after her treatment and left. Beth told Abby she was fooling herself if she thought this was helping.
Whatever you tell yourself, please don't fool yourself into thinking you're doing this for me.
The next morning, noises outside woke her, and she spotted a Russian soldier nearby. Panic struck as she thought about being captured. She hid quickly, but the soldier grew suspicious and followed her inside. Abby had her gun ready, and when he stepped into view, she raised it. He aimed his weapon at her too, and in the chaos, a shot went off, hitting his leg. Shaken, Abby took his rifle and searched his bag for supplies. To her surprise, the soldier carried a stone like hers. The soldier began calling out for a man named Ivan. Abby asked who Ivan was, but they could not communicate. At that moment, the soldier's radio crackled with voices. She asked if that was Ivan, and the soldier nodded. Strangely, every voice that came through sounded exactly like John's.
Who are you?
Don't you want to see Beth again?
Abby was disturbed by how John's voice could speak to her, and also to the soldier in different ways. She began to sense that everything was somehow tied to the black stone. She tried asking through the soldier's radio who he really was and what he wanted, but there was no reply. Instead, she focused on helping the wounded soldier. She dressed his injured leg and suggested they move together toward his base. He agreed, as he too was lost and weak. Both were injured and knew survival required cooperation. Abby grew angry at the situation, thinking the stone had caused all this trouble, and she threw it away. They chose to cross a frozen lake that was starting to melt. As they moved, the soldier's condition worsened. Soon after, the ice beneath him cracked and gave way, and he fell into the freezing water.
Hey!
Abby rushed to help, but slipped as well, plunging into the same lake. The cold was unbearable, paralyzing her body, yet she managed to climb out with great effort. She tried calling for help, but no one came. Shivering, she stripped off her wet clothes to stay warm and wrapped herself in another piece of clothing. John began speaking through the radio, telling her his story and that he understood how she felt. Overcome with fear, she pulled the radio from her bag, removed the battery, and threw it away. Nevertheless, John's voice returned, telling her how he had suffered, and she realized his voice was not going to leave her.
I watched my crew die, one by one.
Exhausted and barely able to move, Abby collapsed and slept. Dreams of her sister filled her mind, memories of the happy times they had shared. A sudden noise woke her, the sound of a helicopter overhead. Hope rose inside her, and she struggled to her feet, trying to make herself seen, but she was too weak to signal. Her body gave in. In her dazed state, she heard her sister calling for help, then lost all strength. She fell unconscious and slid into a pit. The pit Abby fell into was filled with warm water that slowly revived her. Beside her were the remains of a man in a pilot's uniform. The name tag read John. The voice she had heard all along belonged to someone who was already dead. Dark stones began attaching to her, surrounding her as she drifted in and out of awareness. When she opened her eyes, she was somewhere else. She found herself in a strange place where countless black stones floated in the air. John's voice returned, saying he had arrived there 65 years earlier, trapped just as she was now. She learned that the helicopter crash was no accident and that the stones had caused it.
Why did you lure me here?
From the moment you decided to pick up that fragment.
Abby understood these stones were not ordinary minerals, but part of a complex alien system that had existed there for thousands of years. They offered people a choice to stay or die. John had once accepted that offer, gaining a kind of life, though no longer fully human. The place shifted to look like her home, and John told her she could have it all if she accepted. She refused, saying she only wanted to return to her sister.
You are home.
What are you doing?
Abby saw her sister standing outside, and the moment she reached out to touch her, everything shifted. She suddenly found herself lying on the couch in her home, as if life had returned to normal. Overcome with emotion, she rushed to her sister and embraced her tightly, telling her how grateful she was to still have her. For a brief moment, she believed all her struggles were finally behind her.
I have been fighting so hard to get back here.
Yet as the warmth of the moment faded, Abby realized this vision was not real. It was another illusion created by the stones. With sadness in her voice, she apologized to her sister and began to step away. John's voice echoed again, urging her to stay, insisting that everything she wanted was right there in front of her. Her sister pleaded with her to return, but Abby turned away. She found herself standing at her front door once more, but beyond it lay only a raging snowstorm. She took a deep breath and stepped into the blizzard as memories of her journey and moments with her sister flashed through her mind. The next time she opened her eyes, Abby was in a home she did not recognize. A man explained that she had been rescued and was now recovering after being taken to a hospital. She asked the man if the others had been found, but he told her she was the only survivor. Still shaken, Abby insisted on returning to her own home.
What did your father say?
She's home.
When she arrived, she was confronted with the sight she had feared most. Her sister was lying weak, nearing the end of her life. Their father was distraught, unable to bear the thought of losing another loved one. He told Abby that he had survived their mother's death because of his daughters, but this pain was far heavier to carry.
I can't bear it.
Soon after, a nurse called Abby, gently telling her that it was time. Abby entered the room and walked to her sister's side. She held her hand firmly and wrapped her arms around her, staying with her until the very end.
It's okay.